Well, greetings. This is Drac16 coming at you with another video. Thank you for joining me. Today I wanted to talk about psychosis, which is, it's not an illness in and of itself, but it is a symptom of an illness. Typically in schizophrenia, although I think it can also have like psychotic depression, but that's pretty uncommon. But I think, like, I asked a doctor one time if I have schizophrenia, and she said that it's possible that I do. Um, and I'm not seeing anyone right now as far as therapy goes, although I have in the past. I went to what's known as CBT, which is called cognitive behavioral therapy, for my psychosis. And the therapy actually worked quite well. I felt much better after going to a few sessions. I went through like maybe about 5 sessions, I would say. But yeah, it helped. It didn't take away from the psychotic episodes, but it helped me manage them. And it was good to get a fresh perspective on my mental issues. Um, I also suffer from depression, and I have, I have sought help for that in the past. But I my depression is pretty weak nowadays. It doesn't really have control over me like it used to. But the mental problems that I have now are categorized as psychosis. And psychosis is basically a very severe mental disorder in which someone loses contact with reality. So a psychotic person suffers from delusions, uh, like in extreme cases, they could think that they're God, or to think that the psychotic person may think that he's God, or that he's a prophet, or that that he's just crazy. But they can also have other side effects, like thinking that you have some supernatural power or something like that. And that's what I experience. I can hear voices that talk to me, and they try and get me to commit idolatry, and it's very distressing because I'm a Christian, and I know that the Bible speaks very forcefully against the sin of idolatry, but these voices that attack me, they try and get me to worship a false god. Um, like in the New Age community, there's this concept of a higher self, which is basically a form of you that's ascended through multiple dimensions. So, but for me, the voices, they always tell me to worship my higher self. First of all, I don't even believe in a higher self to begin with. So for them to attack me and trying to get me to worship my higher self, it just doesn't make any sense. Um, if this, so yeah, like yesterday, I had a really, really nasty hallucination. And these hallucinations, for me, everyone is different, but for me, hallucinations can last anywhere from half an hour up to 6 hours. So up to 6 hours, I hear these voices that tell me to worship my higher self. So it's very distressing, and I have to resist them because I don't think that I'm possessed. Because a possessed person, like when you read about it in the Bible, people who have unclean spirits, it causes them to have like hysteria. They cut themselves and beat their bodies, and they howl around, and like the demoniac in, I think it's in Luke's gospel, where he was naked and then he was found to be in his right mind and clothed, and the people were afraid because they knew that he was suffering from some type of mental disorder or demon. So I don't believe that I'm possessed, because a possessed person loses control of their physical body. But when I'm having a hallucination, I'm fully in control of my body. I just don't control my thoughts. So when I'm having a hallucination, all reasoning, all um, all rational thought goes out the window. So like for now, like as I'm making this video, I'm sober minded. I can analyze these voices and prove to myself that they're not real. But when I'm having a hallucination, I'm not able to think that way. I'm not able to think that these are fake, that these are internal problems. And they are internal problems, for sure. This is just my brain playing tricks on me. I realize that this is an internal problem. I just have a problem with my brain. Some people have problems with their hearts, their heart, their lungs, kidneys, stomach, pancreas, liver, whatever. I just have a problem with my brain. So just as you wouldn't say to someone with a heart problem, oh, you're so weak-minded. Well, it's just as foolish to say that to a mentally ill person because they just have a brain problem. It's just another organ of the body. It's being mentally ill does not make you weak. Though those higher selves, quote unquote, those people, those voices that try and get me to worship my higher self, they'll tell me all sorts of lies. And sometimes they can even ask me to do violent things, like to murder someone or cut myself or to castrate myself or to kill myself. Um, and I've had this problem with psychosis for, I would say about 7 years. About 7 years, I would say. And like I said, I do suffer from depression, and I've been suffering from depression for like 17 years. About 16 or 17 years, I haven't really. It's hard for me to remember. I don't have a good memory. So, yeah. I'm not gonna quote any Bible verses. I'm just speaking straight from my heart. I'm speaking straight from my heart. So this could be a total flop, or it could be something that, you know, that motivates someone to keep on fighting. But I know that God is never going to hand me stuff that's impossible for me to overcome. He's never going to give me more than I can handle. So, and these voices, by the way, they also sometimes they claim to be my higher self. But the higher self is just a bunch of new age garbage. It has no basis in reality. The idea that you are multi-dimensional and eternal and from Pleiades or Arcturus, or you're an Atlantean, you're an Agarthan, you're a Pleiadian. I mean, it's nonsense. The concept of a higher self is nonsense. It's a bunch of new age crap. And I'm not a new ager, obviously. I'm a Christian. But yeah, these so-called higher selves attack me almost every day. And I don't think it's a demonic possession because when I'm having a hallucination, I'm in full control of my body. I can move around as I want. I can sit, I can stand, I can walk, I can do all sorts of things. I just can't control my thoughts because those higher selves, they take control of my mind. And so I have to resist them. And it takes a lot of effort to resist what they're saying because they are so loud and so obvious in my life that it's really difficult to overcome them. But I don't I don't have to actually overcome them. I just have to resist. I can't make these voices go away, but I can control how I respond to them. And that was one of the things I was taught in therapy. It's that, you basically, my therapist, he told me to treat these voices as if it's a bully. So, like, what is a bully? A bully is someone who is insecure about themselves, so they treat others with contempt. So I realized that I'm personifying them as a way of saying that they're real creatures who live and think and exist on their own. But I know that this is just an internal problem. But personifying them is just the best way that I can describe what I go through. So these higher selves attack me and they tell me to murder people or to worship my higher self or to castrate myself and to cut myself and stuff like that. They tell me to do all sorts of horrific things. I'm not going to name all of it. It's kind of between me and the Lord. But yeah. But the thing is, God is never going to give you more than you can handle. And that's true regardless of what mental issue you have, whether it's psychosis or depression or anxiety or panic attacks. Well, panic attack isn't really an illness necessarily. It's a symptom of an illness. Or at least it can be. It can be. So yeah, bipolar, schizophrenia, um, borderline personality disorder. It can be any number of illnesses that you suffer or problems that you suffer from. But God's never going to give you more than you can handle. Um, I'm not going to quote any Bible verses, but I personally believe that everything happens for a reason. I know that's a cliche, but I believe it. I fully believe that. And the reason I believe it is because I've experienced that. I've experienced God's help in the most terrible of times. And I don't believe that God enjoys it when I suffer. I think when I shed a tear, He sheds a tear. And that's true of every Bible-believing Christian. Seeking Christ in those times of frailty is very important. So yeah, this was just a bit of a rant, I guess, about mental illness. I don't know, maybe this was educational to some of you who don't know much about psychosis, but God loves His psychotic children. And when I say psychotic, I don't mean like someone who goes into a shopping mall and shoots everyone in there. Like that's psychotic. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a psychotic in the sense that you suffer from psychosis, the mental disorder. That's what I mean by psychotic. So I'm going to that's what I'm going to call this video. So yeah, that's just basically what I go through on a daily basis. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.